Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we will be discussing 3D printing filament. So for today's video, first we will begin with what is filament. We'll discuss what it is, what it's used for, what are its purposes. Then we will discuss a little bit about the different types of filament. So we'll first start off with PLA and then discuss a little bit about PETG, then move on to ABS. We will continue on with TPU and then conclude off our video with NYLON. What is filament? The substance used in a 3D printer to turn a computer model into a physical thing is called filament. Typically, layers of the objects are constructed using thermoplastic materials that are melted and extruded through a nozzle. To build the object layer by layer, the filament is fed through into the 3D printer, melted at a high temperature, and then ejected onto the build platform through a nozzle. The various types of filament materials that are available each have special qualities including strength, flexibility, and color. A few popular filament kinds are ABS, PLA, TPU, PETG, and NYLON. Some popular brands are eSun, ANET, Inland, and Polymaker. Now we will talk about PLA filament. So PLA, also known as polylactic acid, is a type of thermoplastic filament commonly used in 3D printing. It's made from renewable resources such as cornstarch and sugarcane, which makes it biodegradable. It's known for being easy to use, has good layer adhesion, and produces smooth and detailed prints. It's not as strong or heat resistant as ABS or other filaments such as PETG. It shrinks less during cooling and is not as likely to warp or curl. And it has a sweet smell during its printing process. PLA is generally good for prototypes, figurines, decorative items, food packaging, and disposable tableware. It's recommended to print it using a bed temperature of 60 to 70 degrees Celsius and an extrude temperature of 180 to 220 degrees Celsius. However, it's sensitive to moisture, which means we have to store it using an airtight container with a desiccant, also known as silica gel, to prevent it from absorbing moisture. PLA has many spin-off filaments that are based on it that enhance its properties. For example, PLA Plus is much stronger than typical PLA and melts at a higher temperature. However, it is typically mixed with another type of material to provide these benefits. Now we will discuss about PETG. So PETG, polyethylene terephthalate glycol, is a type of thermoplastic filament commonly used in 3D printing. It possesses strong and durable qualities and is resistant to impact and chemicals. It's stronger and more flexible than ABS and PLA and is less prone to warping and shrinking. It's recommended to use for functional parts such as gears and mechanical components, transparent and translucent objects such as light covers, ornaments, and bottles. It's recommended to print this filament with a bed temperature of between 60 to 80 degrees Celsius and an extrude temperature between 220 and 240 degrees Celsius. Similarly to PLA, it's also sensitive to moisture, so it's recommended to store in an airtight container with a desiccant such as silica gel to prevent moisture absorption. However, PETG has a downside. Its chemical properties allow it so that the material chemically bonds to glass surfaces such as glass beds, which is commonly used in 3D printing. This is an issue for some, as many now have glass beds. Now let's talk about ABS. So ABS is a thermoplastic polymer, which is known for its strength and heat resistance. It's popular for automotive parts, toys, and household appliances. It's a thermoplastic, which means it can be melted and reshaped multiple times. It observes a high melting point, which makes it more heat resistant than PLA. Its good impact resistance and rigidity makes it suitable for parts that need to withstand impact or stress. Despite many benefits, ABS has a strong downside. It has a strong smell during printing and is prone to warping and shrinking during cooling. It's also sensitive to moisture, which is similar to other filaments, so it's recommended to store in an airtight container with silica gel to prevent moisture absorption. It's recommended to print with this filament at a bed temperature of 110 to 120 degrees Celsius and an extruded temperature between 220 and 240 degrees Celsius. However, the use of this filament is heavily restricted. Many printers are unable to print at these high temperatures. For example, my Ender 3 Pro cannot print with this filament as the bed temperature needs to be between 110 and 120 degrees Celsius. However, there's a limit of 110 degrees Celsius for the Ender 3 Pro's bed. Our next filament of discussion is TPU. So TPU, also known as thermoplastic polyurethane, is a flexible and durable filament that's commonly used. It's known for its flexibility and durability, and also its rubber-like texture. It's often used for phone cases, flexible hinges, and items that will be subject to lots of stress and bending. It's useful for creating toys and figurines. It's more flexible than ABS or PLA and has a lower melting point. It's prone to warping. It requires a lower bed temperature, around 50 to 60 degrees Celsius, and a higher extrude temperature of around 220 to 240 degrees Celsius. It's sensitive to moisture, so it's recommended to store in an airtight container, similar to the other filaments. However, again, this filament is unsuitable with many printers, as it requires a direct drive setup to extrude the filament properly. This is due to its flexibility. A typical extruder, like the one on the Ender 3, needs the filament to travel a distance before arriving at the nozzle. A direct drive places the extruder device right above the nozzle and requires the filament to travel less. This is better for TPU as it provides less chances for the material to bend. Our next filament of discussion is nylon. So nylon is again another type of thermoplastic filament. It's known for its strength, flexibility, and durability, and is a good choice for gears, bearings, and other mechanical parts. It can withstand high impact and stress, and is also resistant to wear, chemicals, and moisture. It can be used in functional parts such as gears, mechanical components that need to withstand high stress and impact. It can withstand high temperatures and has a low coefficient of friction. It's recommended to print this at a bed temperature of around 110 to 120 degrees Celsius and an extruder temperature between 240 and 260 degrees Celsius. It's also sensitive to moisture, similar to other filaments, and the same precautions are required to store this to prevent moisture absorptions. Once again, this film is unsuitable for many printers, including my Ender 3 Pro, as the bed and nozzle temperatures are unable to reach to this temperature for printing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and since this is a part of my personal project, it would be really beneficial if you would subscribe, share, and like this video. And once again, thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe to PapnejaPrints.